Today's video is all about lashes and how to get them to cooperate with you. If you want your strip lashes to look as clean and as effortless as mine here, just keep on watching. Hey, what's up y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how to apply strip lashes. Now I know this is a thing that a lot of people struggle with, so in this video I'm going to include a thorough explanation for how I learned how to put it on, as well as some things that I learned along the way that helped me cut the time a whole lot faster. Another thing I'm going to include in this video is a safe takedown process, as well as an everyday mascara tips and tricks for my people that struggle with mascara as well. So please stay tuned. So quick disclaimer, there's a few things I want you to keep in mind before starting this application. So key number one is that practice makes perfect. This is something that was hard for me to grasp the first time because I watched so many videos trying to learn how to do this myself, and I literally, it just was not clicking. It wasn't clicking with me. Putting in the action and being repetitive with it is where it's going to become second nature to you. So that's just something I want you to keep in mind for key one. For my second key, I would say that the lash type that you get on your first time does matter. I would say to stick to something that's more natural looking, something that's more wispy or sparse, in comparison to like the more thicker and dramatic looking lashes, just because it'll just give you a better first impression. Most people that try to do like the very dramatic looking ones on their first try steer away from them because they're not used to how they look with the extensions on their eyes. So I would say to stick to something that's a little bit more natural for your first try and then start getting a little different with it. So that's my key for number two. For key three, I'm gonna say that some things are gonna work for you better than they work for me, and vice versa. Like for instance, there's different types of glue. There's the black glue, there's white glue that dries clear, there's wand applications, squeeze tool applications. There's just so many different types that you're gonna learn which one works for you as you try them out yourself. I recommend the white glue that dries clear for beginners just because it's more mess proof. In that sense, it's just easier to clean up. And then the exact same thing goes for lash application in general. Like whether you use the actual lash applicator tool or the tweezers or both or your fingers or all three. I would say in the beginning I relied heavily on the lash applicator and tweezers for the application, whereas now I just kind of use my fingers and tweezers here and there. Things just work easier for you as you go along and as you get more comfortable with it. So that was key number three to keep in mind. Alright, so now that that's said, these are some things that you're going to need for this tutorial. First, of course, you're going to need your strip lashes, and for this video I'm using these strip lashes I got off of Amazon. I'll include the link in the description box if these are a pair that you're interested in getting in particular, but these are like the mixed style ones. Again, for beginners, I would say to get something that looks more natural, just so you can get more acquainted with what it looks like to have extensions on your eyelashes in the first place. Next thing you're going to need is your lash glue. For this video, I'm using this Duo Lash Glue. This is the one I recommend, the brand that I recommend using. This one applies white and dries clear. You can use whichever one you want, but this is just the brand that I'm recommending because it works for me. Again, I would say for beginners, you want a glue that dries clear. So keep that in mind. And then you're gonna need your tweezers. I'm using these Revlon heavy duty light tweezers with a nice design on them. I believe I got this from Ulta not too long ago. Again, you can get any type of tweezers you want, dollar store, beauty supply store. These are just the ones that I like using. And then, oh, this one is highly recommended for beginners. This is what I relied on heavily when I first started off and for a long time. This is the Lash Applicator I also got from the beauty supply store, and this is the shape. It's called iEnvy by Kiss. And it doesn't have to be this brand in particular, but I would say just keep in mind this shape. Again, it's not necessary, but it's highly recommended for beginners. The next thing you're gonna need are your scissors, or just something that'll cut. You can use scissors, a nail clipper, whichever one's accessible to you. And then lastly, you're gonna need your mascara. And for this video, I'm using this Benefit Bad Gal Bang mascara. Oop, it won't focus, but I'll include all the items in the description box. This is my favorite mascara of all time, and I'll explain why when it comes to the mascara tips and tricks at the end, so just stay tuned for that. Jumping right into this tutorial, the very first step is adjusting the width of the lash to the width of your eye. This is pretty important as it can set off whether or not this looks natural or not. Just because if you go according to like the initial length of the lash, as you can see, this is pretty wide. It will be very irritating to wear as it'll be brushing up the inner corner of my eye. It will just be very uncomfortable. So for a more natural look, what you're gonna do is you're gonna snip the ends to match the natural length of your eye. So the way that you adjust the length to your eye is that you take the lash and you line it up to your eye, starting with like where the whites of your eyes sort of end. As you can see, I'm getting a lot closer. I'm starting up around this region. You don't want it too close to your eye. Too close will irritate your eye. So you're gonna start off measuring it from around here. Once you do that, this is without gluing, you're just lining it up to your eye. Once you do that, you see the amount that hangs off. You want to stop a little bit less than the very end of your eye. I would say about up until here. So if I'm peeling this off, it's about 2 notches off the end is what I'm going to snip. So one quick tip for cutting the width of your lashes, you want to make sure that you're cutting off a little less than you think it is. Like how I said that I was cutting off 2 notches off the end, I would start with 1 notch, snip that, and then see if that matches my eye, and then do another notch right after. So that's something that I would do just to make sure that you're not cutting off too much and then completely messing it up. Snipping 2 notches off the end. So now it's about this long. I'll show you the notches that I cut off. It's about this much off the end. And now I'm going to line it up to my eye again to see if it's a good length to work with. And I would say, yeah, this is a pretty good length. I'll deal with this. So I'll do the exact same amount on the other end, just cutting off the 2 notches. Once you've adjusted the lashes to the width of your eye, now you're gonna take a thin layer of glue and you're gonna apply it across the band. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take your band, squeeze a little bit of glue at the top so it's spilling a little bit, and you're just gonna apply it from the middle first and just kind of like grace it across the band. So you want to start off with a little bit and just kind of spread it across the band. Make sure the little bit spills over at the top, but you don't want it to be in the front. So this is how it should look. About this much glue on the band, a little bit on the top, but not spilling over to the front. As you can see, it's nothing on the front, just the top and underneath. What you want to do as well to reinforce the ends is you're gonna take a little bit more and just make a dot. So I just kind of like spread that to the sides like so, and a little bit on the side here. But again, not too much glue. You see how it's not like a crazy thick amount of glue on there. This is about how much glue you want on that lash band. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your tweezers, or for beginners, like I said, you want to take your lash applicator, and you're gonna anchor it. Then I'm kind of spreading it wider just so you can get right where you want it. Oop, just about there. This is where you want to be holding it. As you're holding this, you're waiting for this to get tacky. The reason you want to wait for the glue to get tacky is because if you apply it immediately while it is still wet, it will not stick to your eye and it will become a hot mess. So I'm just kind of like fanning it. You want to wait about 45 seconds to a minute. The next thing you want to do is adjust your mirror. You can do this while you're waiting for it to dry as well, and I'll show you how to adjust it. So this is my mirror, and what I do is I tilt it up so I'm looking down into it while I'm applying it. Okay, so it's been about a minute since I applied the glue, and as you can see, it's gotten a bit translucent and you can see it's drying up a bit. Again, I waited about 45 seconds to a minute to apply it. Okay, so you see the setup. The mirror is right in front of the camera, so you can see what I'm doing as I'm looking into the mirror. So the first thing I'm gonna do in applying this lash is, one, you want to angle your hand up so the lash is going down into your lash line. So see what I'm doing here? I'm focusing on the middle of the lash first and pressing it down into the middle of my eye first. So focusing on the middle and pressing down a couple seconds there and releasing. So as you see, that's what it looks like right now. Of course, it's not where you want it yet, but that's where you want to focus on before it completely dries. Take your tweezers and press down the corners into your eye like so. for a couple seconds each. Just make sure that it's pressed onto the skin. Make sure it's not pressed into the hair, you want it into the skin. The hairs may be big, so I kind of like separate them with the tweezers. And make sure you focus on the base of that eyelash. And press it in with pressure. So your lash is sort of secured. You can use your fingers and literally pinch the lashes with your lash together. So it's kind of like you're pinching them into each other so they're a lot closer. Leaves no gaps in between, like you can see. Blink a few times, look to the side, make sure nothing's lifting, but it's in there. So yeah, next eye. Now what you want to do is you want to take your mascara and make sure you blend your lashes in with the lashes that you just applied. And what I would suggest for this method is making sure that, unless you want the false lashes to be more bold looking, make sure you only concentrate on the base where your eyelashes rest. Don't go too far up the strand. And this is how it looks. Not that much different because my lashes aren't like crazy long, but for people that got like longer and thicker lashes, it's a lot better to blend them together. Now a trick I would recommend for if you still have some glue that's still like not completely clear, I don't have a lot of that, but a trick that I would recommend is taking an eyeliner of any brand. This one I'm using is Milani Stay Put Matte Liner. And you're just gonna go across the lash line with that liner and just kind of go in between the lashes where you see the glue, whether it's in the gaps. Coloring over it with black. Same thing along the line. If you find any glue there, you just color across the line. But that is definitely something that I dealt with when I was starting out, having glue, like, because I might have put too much on the lash line, or like just making the mess as I was putting it up there the first place. What I would recommend is taking your finger and just kind of like rubbing across your lid and just like peeling off the glue as you see it, because usually the glue you can just peel right off with your fingers. Given you have no product up there, this is probably like the best option you can do for that. Also, if you do have like eyeshadow or something with it, just taking that eyeshadow and just like going right back over it again. Another problem I used to have is if I didn't put enough glue on the outer corners of the lash, then it would lift. A method that I used was taking the tail of my tweezers and dabbing a bit of glue on there, just a little bit, so that I would be able to reach underneath where it was gapping and just fit some glue underneath there and just press it down with my finger or with my tweezer into that corner until it was dry. So that was one method I used to do as well if I found that there was any gapping or lifting, just so that it would still be down without having to take the whole lash off and then having to reapply the glue over the whole thing and then just having to do it over and over and over again. That was my quick way of fixing that problem. Alright, so for this segment of the video, this is the takedown method. You need Vaseline or any kind of skin oil like olive oil, and this will just ensure that the glue breaks down so that when you're peeling it off, you're not weakening your lash line. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your Vaseline and you're gonna rub some across that lash line just so you're weakening the glue and just massaging it along this line. I just keep massaging that in there until it literally just comes off with ease. And there you go. I look kind of crazy, but that's how you take it off. There's still a little glue here, but you also could take the Vaseline to get that glue out. Vaseline and a spoolie. But yeah, now for this eye, same thing. I'm not gonna force it off, I'm just gonna keep massaging more Vaseline onto there and peel. And that's how you pull it off without weakening your lash line. Alright, so this segment is about mascara and some tips and tricks you can use to make sure that you're getting the look that you want out of your mascara. So tip number 1, you want to make sure that you have the right wand for the look that you're going for. For instance, I have a few examples of different types of wands and the effects that you'll get out of each one. In the description box, I put the website where I got my information from, and there they go into more detail about each wand and what they're good for. For the first one, I have this classic wand, and you get more of a volume for this sort of wand right here. The next one is a more curved like wand. As you can see, it dips at the bottom, and this one focuses more on the curl and length. For the next one, I have more of a tapered wand, and you see how it starts off skinny and kind of folds out towards the bottom. This is another example of a tapered wand, but more like the micro wand. This one focuses on length and volume, so just some things to keep in mind for those. The second tip I want to mention is that you should definitely check the expiration date on your mascara. This might be the reason why it comes out dry and clumpy. It might just be expired. Right here, this is indicating that this product expires after 6 months of holding on to it. Now to get into some tips about application. You want to make sure that you're not putting too much product on at one time. I did mention earlier that I really love Benefit's Bad Gal Bang, and that's because when I pull out the product, you don't see the mascara clumping up at the edge of the bristles. So between the fact that this is a tapered wand as well as a micro wand because it coats every single lash, I'm able to get into the tiny crevices of my lashes as well as build the volume and focus on length. Now for how I coat the top lash or the top lash line, what I do is I take the mascara like I was doing earlier. For the smaller end of your mascara wand, you're gonna go in the up direction and just kind of comb through the front. Then what I do is I'm combing from the base towards the top, combing through and kind of fanning out towards the ends just so they don't clump up. That's how I typically apply my mascara to the top lash line, and I'll show you how I do it to the bottom as well. So what I do for applying mascara on my bottom line is I take a napkin or paper towel and I put it underneath where I'm applying it. Like you see right here, my hairs are lying on top of it. They're not super thick. So you're gonna lay that napkin underneath while you're applying the mascara on top, and this will save your makeup. This will make sure that you're not walking around looking like a raccoon and that you got mascara all over your face because you were crying or just looking crazy. This is what's gonna save your makeup, this right here. Now for putting it into action, here's my napkin. I'm gonna use the Smashbox one instead, just so I can switch it up. I'm looking into this mirror on the side here, and I'm just gonna apply it to my lashes alone, avoiding any type of skin. Again, base to the end, kind of just painting over the napkin, get an inner corner. Another tip for your lower lash line, especially when you have a lot of product on there from that method, is taking the napkin again, making sure it completely covers the skin. We're just rubbing some of that product off onto the napkin. You see, that could end up all on my bottom lash line. Even using a clean spoolie would help with that as well. Getting a clean spoolie and just spreading those hairs apart like so. And that's how I do my mascara. What you can do also to clean up underneath, if you did happen to get some mascara on your bottom lash line, taking some concealer and just going up under your lashes like this. And then blending that in. So this is me blending that all in underneath. And yeah, this is basically how I apply my mascara without it running. Alright, so that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, leave a nice thumbs up for me. Also, if you had any questions or suggestions for me to do in the future, or if you just want to leave a nice comment that down below. And also, do not forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Again, thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for more.